All right, good morning, everybody. Happy Fire Friday. And today we are celebrating the fiery passion of Valentine's Day. Special Fire Friday edition for Valentine's Day. Super excited for our guests today, guys. And as you know, FIRE stands for, it's FYR, it stands for Fund Your Reason. And that's what we are all about. That's what we do. Kristen and I are on a mission. When we came over to EXP, we created the FIRE organization to be able to give back and to be able to help others fund great lives, to build great lives. And no matter what organization you're in, you have an opportunity to do that here at EXP. And we want to help everyone utilize this platform to not only build great lives for themselves, but to invite other people into the opportunity to help them build great lives. So we can't think of any better way to do that than to bring in friends of ours who are doing that, who have done it for themselves, who are helping others do it at scale, and are great people. And over the last, over a year now, we've had some incredible friends and guests come in and share their story and who they are, and what they do, so you can get a feel for who are the people here at EXP, and also the different paths, because everyone's got their own style and their own way of doing things. And the hope is that you find the people that really resonate with you, and then you match that to your opportunity, and you learn from them. So I am going to, let's see, I'm going to highlight this pretty lady first. Hi, Valentine. And then I'm gonna highlight this pretty lady and beautiful young man. What's up, guys?
Not so young.
And I'm gonna jump in here too, so we get going. All right. So we've got our good friends Ryan and Jacqui Bowman here with us, and we're so grateful that you guys jumped in and agreed to spend your Valentine's Day morning with us. I know you guys are coming in from Puerto Rico, right? Your Palmas del Mar down there, talking about building great lives, which we'll hear more about today, and what you guys have done. We've been friends ever since we met you coming over, and it's been fun to watch what you guys have done and just get to know you guys better. So we appreciate you.
Yeah, we appreciate you too. Absolutely. You guys have been an inspiration, and I just remember the day you came to EXP, how excited we were. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so listen, so Ryan and Jacqui Bowman, if you don't know who they are a power couple. And if you have watched any of our Fire Fridays, I'm always super excited whenever we have couples on that work and do life together. And so Jacqui and Ryan are some of the best, and I'm excited to hear their story. So you guys said you have a really incredible story, and it's about time to share it. So
I know the suspense is killing.
Well, I don't know. You know what? I don't know if we can do it right off the bat. We'll probably stick to real estate first, and then Kristen, I'll tee you up, and maybe a half hour from now, you can be like, "So how did you guys meet?" And then once we're one group, we'll probably share that. We'll share
quite the story.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, previous today we lied to you all when you asked. All right. So so basically, I've been in the business 20 years. I got licensed in 2004, and at that time I passed my exam in 2004. My son was born in August, and I passed my exam in September. And you're not supposed to cut your hair or do anything crazy during that time. So I resigned from being a in-home childcare provider and preschool teacher and staying home with my kids to going out and selling real estate. And so my family thought I was crazy, which was totally fine. But
she is a little crazy.
I am a little crazy. I got the red glasses and everything on. But the reason I say that is because grew up, poor, realized that real estate, it was the first time I realized that it was something that if I invested myself into, I could do anything I wanted to do in the world. It was just a gateway to freedom is what I saw, because there were no limitations on what I could do. So yes, I went, my older brother still says, so what's going on in real estate world? Like it's some other kind of world, which honestly it is. Like
kind of.
everyone that's here, like who's grateful to be in real estate world versus 9 to 5 world?
Yeah.
Right? Like it is a different world, right? So so did that and you know, became a KW team leader in 2009. In the best real estate market in history, 2009, 2010, 2011, productivity coach 2012. But along that journey is I met Ryan, which we're not going to tell you how I met him, but met him in 2009 and he had a corporate job.
Yeah.
And then I told him, I'm like, you should come to this thing called family reunion. You'll quit your job on the way back. Like, you know, roped him in. He got licensed in 2010.
I did. Yeah.
Because at the time, being a team leader, you weren't supposed to sell and compete with your agents. And I had already built a business, so it made sense. I don't know if there's any other couples that have experienced that. When one takes a corporate position, someone else has to sell the business, right? So we've never really worked together. I don't know if that's the key here, but like,
Probably.
we always have a different role. We always are doing a different role. So, so I know I just told you that I did home childcare, and I think that the biggest message I like to give to agents to inspire them is I have a 2-year associate's degree that I worked myself through college to get for early childhood education, a preschool teacher, and I always thought I would be a caregiver. I never thought I would be a businesswoman. And I just feel that if I can do this, you can do this. And I love to just bring people that think they're average alongside of me and help them become great. Right.
Look at that.
So, but then Ryan, tell them a little bit about what you did before you met me and before real estate.
Okay. I've done a variety of different things. You know, successfully dropped out of college after 3 semesters. The first time, got myself a job where my dad worked as a part-time summer help kid, you know, pushing a broom for a company that was family owned. You know, made myself, so it was a building materials company, and we sold building materials to lumber yards and cabinet shops and all kinds of different things. And what I did was there was a variety of different roles in that company, and I learned them all. I wanted to be valuable to them to the point where they felt like not only did they not want to get rid of me, but they found and made a place for me. So ultimately, I got hired on. It was a union job, drove trucks and worked in their warehouse for 15 years. Filled in for the operations manager whenever he would be on vacation or in a meeting or something as the youngest guy in the warehouse. And ultimately ended up, you know, years later, after getting into sales, I ended up running 2 of their locations. So I literally went from pushing a broom to the corner office, literally, in a couple of their locations. So I did that. I was also in some other sales. So basically, I worked for that company as a warehouseman, as a truck driver, and got hurt on the job. So I was delivering building materials to a lumber yard. Long story short, the guy had taken some material off my truck with a forklift. We had paneling laying on the forklift. This guy in a 3/4 ton Dodge, so I was going to make a left-hand turn on the snow and ice. Instead, he went straight. He hit me on my right side. My left femur snapped into an L position, right where it was up against that paneling. And so that was one of the most painful and difficult experiences of my life, as you can imagine. Had to have surgery to you know, to realign the bones, and they put a rod in there, and was bedridden for 2 months, PT for 9 months, went back to work for a couple of months, then had to have another surgery. And long story short, that's really what changed the course of my life, because, you know, I'm 25, 26 years old, and I know that I can't do this job another 40 years because, I mean, at that point I'd been on Vicodin for like 3 years, but just because of the pain and being able to do my daily job. Good news is I was able to quit cold turkey, but I went back to school at night this time, paid for it myself, got myself a degree. And before I graduated, the last semester, I had 1 semester left in my in my college career there for a bachelor's degree, I actually got hired by one of our manufacturers. So I went from Friday, with a cutoff T-shirt and working in a warehouse to Monday, having that company as my client, and that's kind of where I got into sales. And that's where my business and my life really changed. So I'm a huge fan of the Steve Jobs quote. I even have it on my phone as a screensaver. I've got a little vision board on my phone that I keep as just a reminder. And it's about the fact that you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking backwards. And so if that accident hadn't happened, I'm confident I wouldn't be here today. I may still be working in that warehouse and miserable. But that direction, changed my life. Personally, professionally, and just all of those things.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So just we grew up very blue collar. I mean, that's the gist of the story. And, fast forward to 2016, I took a management job at a different company, was not KW or EXP, but I won't say the name because it was the worst mistake I had ever made.
Because of leadership.
Because of leadership.
Yeah.
During that time, it's
or lack thereof.
You never know why things happen. So I accept this position, and naturally as a leader, you have people that follow you, and my people followed me, like 5 or 6 people. And we just weren't treated right. We weren't, this female had never had another female leader in her office. We'll just say that. So there was a little bit of that. And I'm a driver. If y'all have met me, like if you want something done, it's getting done. If you don't like it, you shouldn't have asked, right? So
I'm the passenger, by the way.
Yeah.
Just along for the ride.
I will when you tell, after you're done the story, I want to talk about the disc profiles, but go ahead, keep going.
Yes. Oh, we'll definitely tell you about the disc. So,
okay, good. Let's do it.
But what was really interesting is that 2009 to 2012, I was a team leader for David Best, and he was a OP or operating partner for Keller Williams. And I resigned from that in 2012 and hadn't talked to him in 4 years. I mean, when I resigned, he's like, well, we really don't want you to go, so you're going to replace yourself. I gave him 6 months notice. He used 6 months in 1 day of having me stay there. But anyway, I hadn't talked to him in like 3 or 4 years, other than social media,
And I knew him. I loved that guy.
I do too. And so I'm having this nightmare of a mistake happen to where like my agents are in tears, about what's going on. And I signed this contract with these people. And Dave calls me out of the blue. He said, hey, would you grab a beer with me and tell me if I'm crazy? I got to show you this thing. I'm like, okay. So he does a terrible job of showing me the EXP model. I mean, absolutely terrible. Okay. And I'm like, well, if you need me to meet you for a beer and tell you you're crazy, I'm there. Like, what do you got going on? So he shows me this thing, and I said, I don't really care what you're throwing down. I trust you. I'm all in. And so took our agents, and Dave was the first broker of Ohio. The 4 agents that came with me to EXP on day 2. And we launched it from there, which was really interesting. But just EXP has completely changed our life. Not that being in the real estate industry wasn't enough of a blessing to break the 9 to 5 and all of the grind of just being, the American worker. It was being open to all different opportunities. And we didn't actually really know what we joined. I just said, you know what, honey, I said, if it doesn't work out, Remax or KW or somebody will just buy us back.
Yeah.
Like we have nothing to lose here.
Exactly.
So I know a lot of
is that like 17-ish?
Yeah, March of 2017.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. And so did a lot of people in my marketplace again think that I was crazy? Yes, they did. Did they laugh at us? Yes, they did. Were there only 10 agents in the marketplace? Yes. The whole state, so it was definitely an uphill climb, but we were
that's the bleeding edge, right? Not the leading
fire.
Edge. That is like, yeah, you were building the rocket ship as it was taking off.
Right. Like one of our agents had to write an offer, and they said, what's our HUD ID? And I'm like, oh, we might not have one. Like, we're trying to service clients. Like it was hilarious. We didn't have one. So
we got it quick.
Awesome.
But yeah, it was a great experience. So that's kind of how we got into EXP. And I think the moral of that story that I like people to hear, especially when we're talking about agent attraction, is that trust factor. I hadn't talked to Dave in 2 or 3 years, but I knew that if he was willing to put himself in front of me and say, I'm going to be selling my ownership and doing this thing, I would love to partner with you. To me, I trusted him. It didn't matter about the presentation. So it doesn't matter what video you show. If you have a relationship with the person to where you have that trust, and that's how my real estate business was built. And that's kind of how we are. We are higher, deeper relationship quality over quantity, I guess you could say. And we'll get into our rev share group in a little bit, but retention is high, things like that, versus mass quantities of recruiting. So
yeah. Awesome. But that's a really, really important point, because so many times people get caught up in the how and the specifics and the scripts and the other stuff. And those things are all really good to learn, right? I mean, we coach and teach people on the right scripts and what to say, because words are important and all that kind of stuff. So it's not taking away that importance, but on the front, like, people use that as a crutch or an excuse to not start. Right. And and so what we hear over and over again from people who are out there actually doing it, like you guys, that it's enthusiasm and it's influence, right? And so, it's either like someone's super enthusiastic about the opportunity and that gets people to want to go to follow that, or it's just the fact of the influence. It's the relationship that you have where you say, listen, I'm going to go do this. I believe this is the right thing. I believe this will be great for you. And if you have that kind of relationship with people, they're going to follow, like, they go, well, what's, how does this work? And what's KV Core? And what's all that kind of stuff? And you're just like, look, we'll figure all that out as we go. Right. It doesn't matter. This is going to be an environment where we get to go succeed together. And it's like, all right, cool. Let's go do it.
Well, one of my geeky friends, he doesn't know I'm friends with him. His name is Simon Sinek, but he's one of my favorite people.
Bestie.
He said something to the sort of, I'm going to totally butcher this up, but that it's not about the actual product that you're selling. It's if you believe in your product and you believe what you're going to believe, if they believe that you believe in what you're going to believe, they're sold, right? Yeah. Sorry, babe.
That's all right.
But yeah, so I love that, because I believed in what David believed in, even though I didn't see it.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. It's that influence. And one of the things when talking with our group that I've said before is I believe there are 3 layers to the value proposition partnering at EXP. The very first layer is you. Just like in real estate, people are hiring you for you. And I feel like when you're building your sales organization, people are partnering with you for you. So until you've got you put together and you're in a position to where people want to follow you and partner with you, I think that's the number 1 value prop. Number 2, I would just say proximity to people and systems and resources, right?
Yeah.
Definitely have the EXP systems, but we all have a sales organization that we're a part of, or a group of people that we're a part of, or people we're connected to. So proximity to people and resources that aren't just the general, this is what EXP gives. And then of course, number 3, the third layer, which these are in order, in my opinion, is the EXP value proposition, right? Because yes, could someone go to a flat fee brokerage and pay $395 a month and get 100%? Absolutely. Will they see value in that? Sure. Are they going to have the partnership with the person? Are they going to have the support with the proximity of people? No. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I just always think there is a succession in that value proposition of who am I? What am I bringing to the table? Who am I connected to? What else can I bring to the table? And then of course the EXP model.
Yeah. So. I love that. I think it's exactly the right order. Cause I heard someone explain it one time where they said, that people a lot of times when they show up and they just kind of throw up all of the values of the company, right?
Right.
Without making that personal connection or without explaining what I personally can do for you. What Maxwell said, people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care and all that kind of stuff, right? So if you haven't established those things, then if you're just talking all about look at all this cool stuff that EXP has, the way this person put it, they said, I don't know if I like you yet. Why would I care how cool your parents are? Right? Like if we're trying to get into a relationship and everything else like that, it's like, hey, I really want us to be in a relationship, and you keep telling me how cool your parents are. Like, you're gonna have the best in-laws if we get married. It's like, well, I gotta live with you though, right? So like,
my in-laws have a boat, but if I'm not allowed to drive it, it doesn't matter. Right.
Exactly right. So, all right. So you guys said like you don't, I mean, I know you do work together. Like, I know you don't have it like directly, whatever, but you're building this together. You guys both bring your influence. And I know, Jacqui, you do a lot of the recruiting and a lot of the, that side of it, but you guys are both involved. And even though we're on different screens, I mean, she's right here. Like we're right there. And I mean, this is our office and we're in it all day, every day together.
I don't know how you do that.
So that's why we're on different screens. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
So, all right. So first of all, what are your disc profiles?
So I'm an IDDI, like 99.99. And then my S is like a 30. And then my C is 10.
There you go.
Unless it matters, if I'm trying to close somebody, the C will go up. But
so I mean that you and me, 99,
right.
99. I'm a 6 and a 12.
There you go. There you go.
I'm an IC.
Okay.
So I want people to like me, and I, details matter.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So sometimes we have to speed up his details.
Yes. Yeah. And Kristen is an SC with a mid-I. So yeah. So she's got the detail orientation, the structure of the systems and everything else like that.
And my D is like below 0.
His is like a 40. Your D was just under the line, like a 30 or 40. But tell him when you took the test.
Right after we started dating, she gave me the D. She's like,
I love it.
Like, hey, I got this personality profile test I want you to take. I'm like, you want me to do what?
And
Like,
he's an IC, of course. And I'm like
literally the first, I don't know, month or two, something like that. And what's interesting though, is I was a little apprehensive, but I learned something really quickly. So at the time I was living in a different state. And so most of our communication was, over the phone and text messages, that kind of stuff. And I'm a high I. So I send these long texts and paragraphs and I'm telling a freaking story. And she's going to bullet point me back like, oh, that's great. I'm glad, and it's just like one sentence. And I'm like, she mad at me? Like, what's going on here? And it wasn't until after we took the disc and she kind of explained it to me like, hey, that's my way of saying I read it. I acknowledge it. I'm really busy. But I took time out to let you know that I read it. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So from that time on, if I communicate with her, even if I need to tell her more than one thing, I break that text down into like 47 different lines with like line breaks and one text, because I know she's not going to scroll up and look at any other text, like one text at a time, like all of that stuff. Yeah. So it's actually been helpful.
Yes. Yes. So I did it for him.
Yeah. It's so good.
But knowing that he's an IC, I'm like, ooh, that was pretty rough when you're dating, trying to get someone to take one of those tests.
It's so good. So, all right. So you have the different behavioral styles. Like for us, we've had to figure out, and I believe strongly in behavior and personality being very different things, right? The two components that make you up. We laugh because, we have our two girls and one of them has my behavior, but her personality, and the other one has her behavior and my personality. So trying to guess what they're going to do in certain circumstances, we're always like, oh, I wouldn't have thought that they would do that. And it's fun because it messes with your brain a little bit. But you guys do work together, right? You guys do certain things, right? Like I know, Ryan, you do mortgages, right? Yeah. So you're in the mortgage industry side of things. Jacqui, you do coaching. Right. So you guys both are involved in the real estate industry. You're both involved in production, but you're involved in different areas. And Jacqui, I know you've been a high level coach for a while with a lot of great agents. So like, how do you blend that for attraction and kind of split up who does what? And I'm asking you that because we have a lot of couples throughout EXP, and I know in our organization, and one's in real estate, one's not, but they both work together kind of on attraction. Like one sells, the other one doesn't, or do whatever, or maybe they're both in sales, but like maybe the wife is she's out taking listings and the husband does the marketing lead generation side or reverse. So how do you guys blend together to grow? What rhythm have you fallen into to make that work?
Well, it's been interesting because our roles have changed several times since we joined in 2017. So we joined EXP in 2017. I was actually working a corporate job. So I've been licensed real estate agent, real estate broker for 15 years. But during that time, there was a 5-year time where it made sense for me to take a corporate job. And that was the corporate job that I was telling you that I went back to and managed multiple companies, multiple locations for that building materials company. So when we started with EXP, I was really just corporate. She was doing her own thing. She was actually not selling. She was just coaching at the time. Fast forward to 2018, I got back into real estate because of rev share and everything being to the point of where it was. We were self-sustainable. I didn't need my corporate salary and the company car and the medical benefits and all of those kinds of things.
Freedom.
So I got back into real estate. And I'm selling and she's still coaching. Fast forward to where we are today, she stepped back into coaching or selling, I'm sorry, still doing coaching, but production. And I jumped into mortgage kind of the end of 23 into 2024. But what I'll say is when it comes to attraction and the conversations that we're having with agents, it really starts with where the relationship starts. For instance, we've got somebody in our rev share organization that was delivering Walmart packages, our Walmart grocery. He was asking about my truck. I used to have an F-150 that was fully wrapped with like the flag planting on Iwo Jima on either side and flags on it and everything else because I'm really passionate about giving back to veterans. Mm-hmm. And that started a conversation with him. As a result, he got into real estate and, he ended up joining us. Got somebody in our front line that I went to real estate school in 2010. And as soon as, I had lots of conversations because Jacqui was the team leader.
Recruit everybody in that class.
Anybody. And so
yes.
I brought like 4 or 5 people in that class to KW, and fast forward, some of them came to EXP over time.
Yeah.
I had somebody that used to work for me as a truck driver when I was managing that company. Well, he
just passed his exam.
Did he?
He's studying.
He's studying. Yeah.
Okay. Almost there. Almost there.
He's going to join us.
Yeah.
And then you look at, the coaching business that Jacqui grew and the relationships that she had in the industry, I would say just about every person that we have that came to that's in our business came to us. Mm-hmm. We're not reaching out and it's about the relationship first. It's about giving value, genuinely wanting to help people. And as a result, at some point, the EXP conversation comes up and then we have it. Yeah. And so I think that's kind of what I would say is it starts with where did that person come from? And then we involve the other person at the point that it makes sense.
Right. Yeah. And I would say too, back to Dave's question, like what our roles are. Obviously I have real estate experience. I can help agents in our rev share organization. But what I will tell you is because Ryan does have a broker's license and because of the experience he has a lot more patience with people than I do, believe it or not. I know I see
that high D.
Right. And I love to help people. Everybody who knows me to my heart knows like I love to help people. But when your organization starts growing and they need that one-off support on, hey, I'm writing this addendum or I'm writing my first deal, he shines in that area. Mm-hmm. I'm like, did you watch the 3 videos? Like, why are you taking my time? Like that kind of thing in my mind. I never say that to them.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm like, but he does so well with that. And that's kind of our balance. So we've always really found that we have to work together, but we're never doing the same thing. And by the way, if you're a couple and you get into real estate, the one thing that we discovered is he's a transplant from Pennsylvania into Ohio. So when we're selling in Ohio, adding him to the sales team gave me leverage, but it didn't really grow our business unless we were going to tap into other forms of lead gen other than our database. And what we realized was 2 of us we're selling the same database. And so this is really important if you're working with your spouse. If you're going to work together in real estate, realize that both of you are working the same GCI and the same database, unless you do something different.
Yeah.
And so for us, mine was always relationship based. I was 95% of my transactions came directly from my database or a referral from my database. And so when he came in and we were working together for a short period of time, we realized we need to really divvy this up. And that's when I started my coaching business and said, okay, you work the database, because we can't afford to have both of us working the same GCI, if that makes any sense. And it, you know, with his D being lower, cold calling, door knocking, all of that stuff was not gonna be something he was gonna do, you know.
Although I did it when I first got licensed. So she's the team leader and she's got to have butts in the seats for bold. So I took bold, and I wasn't licensed until week 5 the first time that I took it.
Oh
So
my
I was
God.
just calling her database. I was calling the Chamber of Commerce, all those kinds of people, just introducing myself as who I was. Once I got licensed, I could have real estate.
Sean Kokoska
Yeah.
had a phone. He wasn't even licensed.
Yeah.
It's just
Right.
That wasn't
Sure,
a
why not?
conversation because I'm a high C.
Yeah.
I just like
So
talking to
he's-
people.
So the support of the rev share organization. But I would say, yeah, going through that value proposition, relationships, I always lead with value and the give back of value. I do believe, though, that just to contribute to this call, I believe, though, that could I have done a much better job if I was prospecting for growing my sales organization? The answer is absolutely yes. I could have done way better. Not jumping out of my comfort zone of teaching first, having them follow me, and then having them ask me for the conversation is typically how this has happened. But knowing now, because I've been comfortable, full transparency for the past, couple years, with changes in rev share, I'm like, I have to re-engage. I have to re-engage myself. I have to go back out there and do what I did in 2018, 2019 to rebuild. And it's not because we've lost a ton of people. It's more about the fact that the real estate industry has changed. Those people have changed. And it's like getting back into production has been huge for me because it's reconnected me with my marketplace. Out of production for 6 years, you can imagine, as Gene says, every 5 years, the top 20% are different. Like 5 years from now, the top 20% aren't even in the business yet.
Yeah.
So to realize that I didn't really know any of the agents in my marketplace because I was coaching nationally and I had those connections. So getting back into production has been really good for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So, and, for our, structure with our differences, right? I mean, I've always been in the real estate industry from, I did a couple of years in the, international business field and in international telecom and that kind of stuff. And then got into selling houses and developments and then buying franchises and stuff like that. So, for me, it's over 25 years now in real estate. Kristen's been more along for the ride for most of those years. She's been a real estate wife, but not, hasn't been licensed, didn't ever sell, wasn't involved in any of those things other than when we were structuring the business, she would run operations for our companies, right? So handling all of those things. So now's the first time that really with EXP where the platform's different, right? With KW and all that kind of stuff like that, their structure was different. So we had profit share, which was, 1/100% of the dollars of what what revenue share is. But still, it was, there's still the recruiting of agents and all that other kind of stuff. But there wasn't an opportunity for her to be a part of that. Again, because the dollars weren't big enough to treat that side like a business. Sure. It didn't, that was a kind of an extra, like, cool, we got a couple extra hundred and sometimes we got $10,000 in a month from that. Great. But that was the max on the highest in the spring, like that was like the July settlement or whatever. So, the dollars weren't big enough for that to be its own business. And so it didn't make any sense for her to spend any time in it. Well, now that the opportunity is large enough that it is a business in its own right, and you can actually build a platform where you have kind of your own virtual brokerage, if you will, right? We call it a community. Now it's a thing. So I don't know if you want to give a brief description of how we divide up our duties.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you.
Okay. So, I mean, I would say
low I. She's
I
like,
know. So, honestly, the biggest thing is we don't try to go in each other's lanes, right? So, you know, I'm not a real estate agent, I'm not licensed, and I don't pretend to be, and I think everyone in our community would say that I've never said that. But what I do is I know people and I like people, and I connect well with people, at least I think I do, so tell me if I don't. But, you know, and like, if you come to me with a question, I will, if I don't know the answer, I promise to find out the answer, and there's nothing more that I like than questions, because with every question, I learn more. And then the more I learn, the more I'm able to help, the more I help, I'm able to support, you know. And so what's great about this is that, you know, David, you know, he is the attractor, he is the face. I don't want to be out front. I don't think our partnership would work if we both wanted to be out front in the same lane. We can both be out front, but be in different lanes. And so that's what works well for us. And so, you know, what EXP has done, it's allowed us at a certain phase in our life, right? Certain phases of life, this would not have worked. If our kids were really little, when I was really busy, it wouldn't have worked. But it's super fun to be able to work together, but not in the same lane. So, you know, and it's really fun for, you know, for him to go out and be the face and to attract somebody, and then to kind of pass the baton on. And then I'm like, okay, I'm here, and I can pass the baton back to him. And so, you know, that's worked really well. And there are a lot of other couples within EXP who have done it, like you guys, and then who've done it just on different levels, right? And I think that's the secret sauce, is to really identify, which is why the disc comes into play well, right? To identify what your strength is, not what you think it is or what you want it to be, but what your strength really is. And I think that's super important. And to be able to, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but to like support each other in those arenas, and to give each other an ability to shine in those areas. So kind of what we do in a nutshell.
Yeah, perfectly said. I mean, I like to be out front and do the, you know, I'll go out and do the initial contacts and do the whatever. I have no fear of that stuff, and go out and blah, blah, blah. And we'll get, right, great, good. And then we have people that are interested. And I'm like, honey, all yours. It's like, now I want to move on. Like to me is like, I want to go build it. I don't want to operate it. Right. And that's like, oh. So, but she loves that stuff. She loves serving people in that way. And that sounds, you know, you guys kind of the same, figure your strengths and run with it.
Yeah, she's definitely the one that's out front. And we also have somebody that she's hired as a full-time executive assistant to help with like the onboarding and just all of the details, the management, the newsletter, all, you know, the events that we do, all of that kind of stuff behind the scenes is kind of the integrator, or what's her, the director of implementation.
Director of implementation.
Like it. So when did you guys know you were ready to make that hire? When was the right time to bring in someone to do that? Because you can do it too early, and you know, or you can do it too late. Just like,
I mean, it was, well, I did the whole VA route, which, by the way, I'm an authorized matchmaker for Sphere Rocket virtual assistants as well.
Oh, awesome.
So if you don't need a VA, just come to me directly. But I did that for a while. I had 2 or 3 different VAs. And what I found was the onboarding through EXP versus the onboarding that we wanted them to have, the experience we wanted them to have, we were having a VA do that. And then when the VA had a baby, we had some of our agents fill in. And we found that having an agent that's been at EXP for 3 years, that's been licensed for 7, that onboards an agent is such a different experience. And so I started looking at, okay, we're having local events. I mean, one of the things I just have trouble doing is negotiating and planning, like with a hotel coordinator, like for an event. Drives me bananas, you know, because I'm like, it's like buying a used car from these people, right?
Right.
So, you know, I like to arrange it and do the contract, but then I like to have someone here, boots on the ground, to pick up the balloons, to put out the things on the table. And so having that VA person was not able to do that, boots on the ground. And so this May, it'll be 2 years that we hired Stephanie. She's amazing. She lives about 8 minutes from my house. She's been licensed for 8 years. She's been at EXP for 3. And so she does our white glove onboarding. She's the director of implementation for Infinite Partners. That's our sales organization. And so that has really helped me continue my journey with coaching, continue with production. be more intentional about recruiting and retention and adding more things. And of course, she's, you know, on the disc, she's perfect for the position. She's not going to come up with the ideas, but when I give her a checklist, like, this is what we're going to do now, this is the new standard operating procedure for monthly meetings, events, happy hours. I can give that to her.
Like an ISC type profile?
Yeah, she's definitely an IS. Yes. Yes. So, but she's done amazing for us. And so, and just so you guys have a sense of our sales organization, right now we hover at about 400. There was a time in 2022, 2023, we were at about 460. So, you know, there's been some adjustment there with market. I mean, 2020 and 2021 were amazing, you know, you know, and one of the things, I know many of you know our friend Hank. I had a discussion with him a couple weeks ago that it's like, I have so many things going on that I'm like still living in that world. I kind of feel like, you know, like an older person, like, oh, you know, that was 5 years ago that the market was amazing, right? So I just am like, I haven't adjusted. It's like at the end of the year, I'm like, oh, we made less than we did in 2023 or whatever. And so we're trying to figure out now, okay, well, where is my focus? And so having Stephanie has been huge. But yeah, we hired her around 400 agents after doing a lot of VA. And the VAs did well for a while. Yeah. But I think for me to
be a good first step for people
to the next level.
Test that out, build some systems in place and everything else.
Right.
And then go to the next level.
But it took quite a bit of her time to manage them, and she just needed, because she's got all these different avenues with coaching, production, and you know, the conversations with agents, just all of these different things. She just doesn't have time to manage the minutia, and
right.
It just wasn't in my wheelhouse to do that as well, to be honest with you. Because we tried, we had that conversation, and it just.
But yeah, we tried that for a little bit. I was like,
maybe not it
didn't work. 60 days later, I was like, I mean, I tried to put on a spreadsheet all the things I'm doing. And then once he saw it, he's like, oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like, no. So we did that, but it's been great. And honestly, y'all, I mean, like Dave said, I mean, the small amount that we got from the previous company, KW, and what we get here significantly changed our lives. In 2016, when I had that management position, and Dave came out, we know that it was a God thing. I couldn't believe what was going on in the management of the place that I took, and I'm stuck in this contract, and I don't know what I'm going to do. My daughter Abby's in 9th grade, and as you know, they're very hormonal at that age. She was not mentally doing well. That's all I'll say, because you would never know that today. No. And it was going through a very, very rough time. And out of the blue, David Best calls, and he was my escape. And he was my trust. And this was such a God thing for us. At the time, Abby was in like 10th grade. I had $2,800 saved for her college. Didn't have anything really going on there. Fast forward to when she graduates in 2020, 2021, I could pay for her college in 1 month of rev share.
Awesome. And
so for us, it's just been absolutely life-changing and has just allowed us to do many things. And we'll show you in a little bit. I do have a little picture of us in 2016 and a picture of us today, and you would not recognize us as the same people. Okay. We're going to show you that in a little bit.
Good. Okay, cool. Because you guys are coming to us from the beautiful Palmas community in Puerto Rico, in your escape home down there that you guys can do whenever you want to, which is pretty
yeah, exactly. Well, we work every day till 1. No.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But I mean, but you've been able to do that. You've been able to have another home, right? That you can go to, and you can live the life. You can be back with your community and your family and that kind of stuff. But you can also be working from down there with your other community and family and friends that are down there, which is so fun.
So fun. Yeah.
We're getting short on time now.
All right. So
we've got 12 minutes.
We got to tell them how we met. Okay.
Lay it on. Can't wait to hear this now.
Okay, this is just Valentine's edition. Is there anything else we want to talk about rev share? Do you guys have any questions you want to go into about rev share? Because we'll wrap it up. Okay.
Yeah, no, I think I think one of the keys is how you guys have developed it as as a couple, and your different roles and everything else like that, where if people need to understand their own limitations and to, I'm a big believer in not trying to build my weaknesses, but leverage my weaknesses.
Yeah.
Yes.
Focus on my strengths. Yeah, exactly. Hire to your weakness. So if you don't have a spouse or a partner in the business, you could go find a partner. You can find other people in your organization. Go attract someone in and say, hey, I need someone. Let's go run. Let's go run together. I mean, David did that with you, right? I mean, he's got a different personality style than you have, right?
Yes.
And so he said, hey, I need someone like you who is that high and high D who can help go drive this and go help us build this. So go find that for yourselves. If you don't have even if you do, you can still surround yourself and keep making that group stronger by identifying what am I lacking? Where am I weak? What do I not like to do? Or what do I just not have the experience in? Go find that and add that to your community and then go link arms and go run together because you'll be faster. And because guess what? If they're strong there, they won't be strong where you are. And you guys will be stronger together. And the other point I want to just highlight real quick, and then we'll jump to your story, is the fact that you talked about the contraction of the market. You talked about the changes in revenue share and those kinds of things. And those are like life happens. And so you have to keep building. This is something where you keep building it and you're looking at it and you're pivoting around it. The market will change. And so it is important to treat this. I think Brent said, if you treat it like a hobby, you'll get paid like it's a hobby, right? If you treat it like it's a business, you'll get paid like it's a business. And so as you're building your revenue share, I mean, it's fine. If you want to make a couple $1,000s a month, you can casually attract people and make a couple $1,000 a month in passive income. And hey, that's great, right? That's fine. But if you want to build something, build your freedom number. We talk about your freedom number, which is when you don't have to do any other work anymore and your bills are paid. And then we talk about your reason number, which is the big life you want to build. Right? How much do you need to be able to go do big things? One's to not have to go to another job. The other is to go build the life you want to build. If you want to do that, you have to structure it like a business and understand that if you're not paying attention, the market will pivot. Sales will go down. People will, whatever. There's a mass exodus from the real estate industry. You're going to lose people. You're going to lose whatever. What people need will change. What agents will need will change. And so how are you make sure you're continuing to meet needs and that kind of stuff? So I love that you pointed that out because it's important for people to go, hey, this is a business. I got to stay plugged in and watch it.
And we had treated it as a business for a number of years. And, I think it started with the VAs and then the full-time executive assistant and the other agents that we have. I mean, we have a leadership council of our rev share group as well that Jacqui has put together. And, the reason that we've done that is because, quite frankly, it's been, rev share has been our leading income for 7 years, 5 years, at least 5 years for us, more than the coaching and more than, the corporate job and more than, mortgages sales. And coaching and sales, just all of those things. And so if you want it to continue, you have to treat it like a business, have a budget, have, P&L and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. What were you going to say?
What really struck me about your move to EXP is I think some people think that, they know a lot of agents or maybe they moved to EXP and that everyone where they are happy and comfortable and everything is great. And so you said that you hadn't talked to David in a number of years and he called you totally out of the blue. And then you shared that you didn't have, before you came to EXP, Abby was in high school and you didn't have enough money to pay for college and all of those things. And so he didn't know your situation, right? So all he was trying to do was to share something with you and that changed your life. And so for all the agents on this call and who are going to listen, we hear it all the time, but it really is true. Don't be afraid to call somebody because you don't know.
Everybody looks good on social media.
Yeah. Right. So, he had no idea. And then here you guys are now. And
yeah. Change your life.
Honestly, going back to the fact that it wasn't about his presentation.
Right.
It was that he cared and he was doing something for him. And this was how it was changing his life. And this is how I think we could work together, right? It wasn't, here's all the features and benefits. That's not why I came. Because I didn't really know what they all were, right? But I just knew it was a great thing.
We didn't have most of them back then either.
Right.
People follow people.
So people follow people. So don't feel like you have to perfect your presentation. Use your sales organization. Use people like Dave and Kristen and us, you know, if you ever need me on a third party call, happy to help anybody with the questions about EXP and influencing to bring someone over. So yeah,
love
pretty
that.
cool.
All right.
Cool.
Lay it on us now.
All right, Dave, do you have a hard stop at
Nope.
noon?
Nope.
Okay. If you all have to leave and there's only me, Dave, and Kristen left, that's totally
It's recorded. People can go back and watch it later. We're good.
First, I want to say thank you for allowing us to be on this platform, because I actually feel like our story should be shared. And now that it's been 15 years, we're comfortable sharing it.
16.
16? Okay. So yes.
I see.
I see. Yes. So we're going to try to do this in 10 minutes. So, so my daughter was born in 2002. My son was born in 2004. I was divorced in 2006. So I was a single mom with a 2 and a 4-year-old building a real estate business. As you knew, I was a preschool teacher. I did home daycare before. My children's father has a lot of like social anxiety and things like that. So me going out into the sales world and falling in love with that wasn't the person that he married. And we were high school sweethearts, by the way. And we're still good friends to this day. We all get along. Everything's great. But I broke away from that. So then I was single mom from 2006 to 2009. I'm in the swimming pool at Mega Camp KW, and I meet David Best. And David Best is interviewing me in the pool for his team leader position, right? And at this time, I'm having all of these insecurities about myself. I had just filed bankruptcy in 2009. So this was in, Mega Camp, August of 2009. April of 2009, I was dating a bunch of men I shouldn't have been dating. Just, you know, I married my high school sweetheart. So this is the first time I was ever single. I think I was like 27, 28, you know, it was crazy times. Because I didn't go away to college, you know. So things were just weird. Okay. We'll just say that. So it's April and I am of 2009, and I had a little bit too much to drink, and I was driving home and I got pulled over and I got a driving under the influence thing. Now, what makes it even worse is I didn't realize I was getting pulled over. I was speeding down my own street, doing like 55 and a 25, pulled in my driveway. And so I'm doing the sobriety test in my driveway.
Oh, no.
As my mom is looking out the window at like 2 a.m. It was terrible. It was terrible. The worst thing ever. So you're in the shower crying like, God, I'm a top agent right now. I have 6 listing appointments in the next 2 weeks. How could you take away my driver's license? Like, what is going on? And I'm literally just like sobbing in the shower. So true Jacqui Bowman fashion, I'm supposed to go to this like driver intervention program. Like, I don't have to go to jail because it's my first offense, but I have to go to this driver intervention program, and it's like 4 days. And I just keep putting it off. And of course, my daughter thinks I just had to go to this thing because I was speeding, because I was going way too fast. And she learned the speed limit had nothing to do with alcohol, right? But that's kind of my story. I'm going to pass it to Ryan to tell his story. So you lived in Pittsburgh at the time. By the way, I'm from Stowe, Ohio, Kent, Ohio. Yeah.
So at the time, I'm working for a company called Wilson Art, covered about 4 states. And I had a friend of mine that was also a customer, and I went over to his house, had dinner with him and his wife and his kids, and you know, certainly had a good time. This was in Ohio. You know, that's where he lived. I'm on my way back to my hotel, and you know, probably driving a little bit too fast. And long story short, I got pulled over and I got a DUI. And so you know, at the time, I was in kind of a rough place myself, to be honest with you. We were really a couple of winners back there.
Right.
You know, I had just gotten separated from my ex-wife at the time. We had been married for 15 years. And my dad had had a stroke that month. And when I got a DUI, I was driving a company car, which got impounded. So not only did was I in another state, of course, I tried to make a couple of phone calls. Nobody picked up the phone. So the next day after, you know, I spent the night in the local the local
He
jail.
actually had to go to jail.
Put the little orange jumpsuit on, the whole 9 yards. A friend of mine who was also my customer was the one who picked me up at the jail and drove me to the state line where my daddy picked me up, you know, and in my late 30s at the time. And so I ended up getting fired from that job because my job required me to be able to have a driver's license and be able to operate in all 50 states, even though I won't even get into that part about Ohio not having reciprocity. But long story short, I also had to go to driver intervention program, DIP school, in order to avoid, 3 or 4 days in jail. And guess who was at DIP school the time that we both went in August there, and of course, in typical Jacqui fashion, they're checking everybody in, getting your names, they're checking to make sure you weren't drunk and all that kind of stuff, which was kind of crazy. But 2 people actually got released, sadly, because they showed up to DIP school and they had been drinking. But Jacqui is walking around with her football magnets, one for Steelers and one for Cleveland Browns, and asking people if they're Steeler fans or Browns fans. And she's like, well, drunk people got to buy houses too. And so
she's lead generating, she's getting clients.
Yeah. Always be closing.
So that's where we kind of met. And it's a program that starts on Thursday night. You got to be there until Sunday night. And this was 15 years ago when a lot of people smoked. And so as a result, neither one of us smoked. And then on Sunday, they don't have any classes during the day. They basically do all these evaluations. And so you're just sitting around with nothing to do. And we were outside because it was August and it was pretty. And we just decided to, sit on a curb, and we're talking, and, we're thinking that, we're never going to see each other anymore. So we just lay all of our, well, here's how bad I have it. I just got divorced, and my my dad, like, and she's talking about how her dad had passed away that year, and just like all kinds of different things, just spilled all of our dirt on the floor there. And what it did was actually, kind of, just being transparent. It just started that relationship, from kind of the bottom, versus trying to get to know somebody maybe later on in the process. We just started with all the bad stuff, and then
yeah, you can start out like faking it, false pretense, let me show you my perfect self first. It's like, here, you can see me at my worst.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this guy's a little too nice for me. I'm going to try to repel him. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this guy I'm dating, blah, 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 blah. And this, and he's just listening or whatever. And my roommate, before we were talking, she goes, that Ryan guy is totally checking you out. Like this whole, he's got a roommate, I got a roommate. It's just funny. But what's interesting is we fell in love that weekend sitting on the curb. And it was one of those weekends where it's like 92 degrees in Ohio, which means you're sweaty. There's like butt sweat on the curb. Like, nobody cares, right? But it was like, I didn't ever think I was going to see him again. And he's calling and saying, did you get home all right? And then we were on the phone every night, just like a junior high school kid would be, for 2.5, 3 hours every single night. Awesome. He wasn't allowed to drive in Ohio. I wasn't allowed to drive anywhere. We couldn't see each other. It was like God's intervention of, like, that is a God story. Like, you can't make that up. It's just crazy. And so I did have to tell one little lie. I went to the courthouse every week, and I had to say, these are the showings I have on Tuesday. These are the showings I have on Thursday, because I had to turn in my work schedule. And so there happened to be a Keller Williams office in Pittsburgh that I was doing a training at, and I got to drive out to Pittsburgh. But funny story about that is the gal at the courthouse became an agent with us.
Oh my gosh.
That was like, I was recruiting then, like, if you need a sponsorship for your exam, and I was at KW at the time in 2009. And I was like, and this is all going on while I'm getting the team leader position. Dave Best doesn't know. I'm like, I'm thinking, these people, why are they hiring me? Like, why are they doing this for me? And direct deposit was amazing in 2009, 2010. Mm-hmm. So there's just all of these God intervention things that would have just never happened. And it's like, when you're crying in the shower and asking God, like, why are things happening? And you just don't know why they're happening. We just know that we are a gift to each other, and that only comes from him. Yeah. So
it goes back to that quote, and it goes back to that Steve Jobs quote. And what I was talking about when I had the accident is, you just can't connect those dots oftentimes, when you're going through bad stuff. And, everything happens for a reason. I don't care if it's good or bad. I mean, you always learn and grow more as a person, professionally, business, all of those things during the challenging times. I mean, when it's comfortable, you just aren't. And that's definitely something that I've taken away from that. And it just is a reminder that when it's meant to be, it's just meant to be. I mean, I think it was our second or third date that we finally were able to spend some time together, and we talked about getting married, like right there. We were at a concert, and
Wow.
I told her that she was going to be my wife, and we officially got engaged. That was in like October, and we got engaged Christmas, and we got married the following year. And we had just met in August and only had like a couple of dates between then and like the end of the year. So.
And his parents are pretty conservative, so knowing that he met someone at drunk school was just
Right.
over the top. They were excited. My mom, same thing. She's
I
like,
couldn't go to school dances growing up like that.
I was like, does this mean I wear a turtleneck, or does this just mean no cleavage? Like, what does this actually mean?
Right.
But it's been quite a journey, and it's been 16 years since we met, 15 years we've been married, and you just never know. So if any of you are down on your luck and you're trying to figure out what is going on, we all live and breathe the same air. We all have a beating heart, and we're all humans, and you just never know where you will meet someone or find a connection with someone. So I just thought it was appropriate on Valentine's Day. Sorry for all the people that we lied to. We said we went to a business seminar and we were front row geeks, and we were.
I love that you guys shared that though, and we appreciate you guys being so vulnerable.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think God puts us through these things in our lives, not only for ourselves, but for other people, right? We're out there to, when we share this, we prevent other people from going through it, we help people who are going through it, or we help other people learn the lesson who haven't gone through it, but they can still learn from what you did. And it may be a different challenge, it may be a whatever, but the biggest success stories that we've seen and heard have always been people who have gone through challenges, right? Because you learn who you are, and you learn that you can make it through hard times. And that's really important. And I love Winston Churchill's quote, where if you're going through hell, keep going. Right? Don't stop. You're gonna stay there. You don't want to set up your tent right there. Like move your legs, keep going, and then find the people around you that you can that will help you go through it. Don't go through it alone. Market's been
also find out who your friends are.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Who's still around? And it's it's the market's been challenging. There's uncertainty. There's this. There's that. It's the industry is changing, etc. You want to go build something, and this is the opportunity to go do it. And I think what people underestimate, they overestimate what they can do, in a day or in a week or in a month, but they underestimate what they can do in 1 to 3 years. And
absolutely,
your life can be so different 1 to 3 years from now, like drastically. Your story, Brent Gove's story. I mean, so many stories. In our own story, we've been at the depths. And it's like when you're in it, you can't imagine, and you think it's going to take 10, 15 years to pull yourself out of it. And a few things change, and 6 months, 12 months later, your life is 100%. Crazy. Yeah. Cool. Definitely think it's a God thing. I love it. So guys, thank you. Seriously. It's awesome. We really special that you guys, shared that, and feel like we know you even better now. I'm not trying to get choked up. I think it's so great.
Good. Well, that's our Valentine's Day gift to everyone. So hope you all have love and have a wonderful Valentine's Day. Thanks for having us on.
Awesome. Thank you again, guys. I'm going to unhighlight us real quick so we can see everybody real quick. We'll close this out.
Sure. No, it's okay.
I can't find all my buttons. There we go.
Bye, guys.
You'd think that I never do this. You'd think that I never do this instead of doing this like 12 times a day, every day. All right, guys. Hey, got this recorded. We'll put it out there. Guys, have an amazing Friday. Have an amazing weekend. Happy Valentine's Day. We love you guys. Guys, thanks. We appreciate you.